Oh, that's weird. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of No Reserves Radio. I'm your host, Angelo, and I actually just found out the results of Monday Night Football. So, before we get into the fantasy aspect, you worried about the Bills at all, Alex?
Hey, how's it going, guys? And you sort of have to. That's another three turnovers. Four turnovers, isn't it? Or three? Three turnovers to Josh Allen. That's piling up, as we said. The issue right now it's been the turnovers. He's playing loose with the football. He threw two interceptions. He had a fumble. Lost. It was on a handout to James Cook, but it was 100% on Josh Allen, in my opinion. So yeah, the defense sort of did their part. They were given a lot of short fields to defend, and Denver played well enough to get the win. I mean,
You're not wrong.
it's kind of a testament to like they had what four turnovers. They turned the ball over on Josh Allen three times, and they had a James Cook fumble, and they barely scraped by to win the game. So not the greatest of signs, but at least the defense is starting to play better. Not to the level of last year, but playing better overall. And yeah, if we were to do the power rankings today, I wouldn't have the Bills as a top 10 team, and they just lost their offensive coordinator like
You
two
mean,
hours ago.
wait, you mean like I've had them off the last 3 weeks?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
smart ass. But yeah, they fired their offensive coordinator, like I think it was a couple of hours ago, Ken Dorsey, and now Joe Brady is replacing him right now. Oh, yeah, Ken Dorsey. Yeah, Ken Dorsey. They fired Ken Dorsey, and Joe Brady is now replacing him, the former Carolina Panthers offensive coordinator. Just, I'm not sure if it's gonna go any better, but it probably can't go any worse right now without that offense was operating. They sort of really need to figure something out at wide receiver too, because like Gabe Davis is like most of Josh Allen's turnovers that I can remember are just balls hitting Gabe Davis straight in the hands and he just wobbles them, throws them in the air, and the defensive back makes a play. So it's kind of terrible, to be honest. Like we have tried
I-
making Gabe Davis a thing for a while in fantasy football, and it
We
is
have.
clearly not it.
So, do you believe that Josh Allen is one of these quarterbacks that needs overwhelming talent around him to be elite? Or do you believe that if he didn't have Diggs, if he didn't have Cook, that he'd be fine?
I mean, it took the major leap when Diggs got there.
He
So it
did
kind of
when Diggs
tells
got
me,
there.
yeah. So it kind of tells me that he at least needs the alpha. Now, does he need a perfect offensive line? Does he need like three top wide receivers? Does he
I'm
need
not calling him Andy
two top?
Dalton like you like to
Yeah,
compare people to, but I'm
just
just
Derek
saying
Carr.
I'm just saying is he closer to the Derek Carr? This guy. I'm just saying is he closer to Dak Prescott than he is to Patrick Mahomes, maybe.
Definitely starting to be a case, isn't it? Like we have put him in this echelon of great QBs, but at
Hmm.
the end of the day, I mean, I guess you can sort of blame coaching, and they haven't been the same since they lost Brian Dable.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's kind of tough to argue against that right now, isn't it? Like Mahomes, I mean, he doesn't have any sort of like good wide receiver. He has average wide receivers. Yes, Kelsey, yes. But I mean, not revolving door, but he just lost his offensive coordinator now. And I mean, he's not looking like he missed any sort of beat.
I mean, and
Meanwhile,
even then, he played week one against the Lions without Kelsey. And granted, he did look a lot more limited there, but he still looked like an elite level quarterback. So I don't know. I don't
yeah,
know.
like Allen looks like a turnover machine now.
He does. He really does.
It's
I don't know.
it's
This
a tough
this might go
watch.
back to my bias because I was never a fan of Josh Allen, but I don't know. There's just like again, great for fantasy. Absolutely amazing for fantasy. I don't know how much I like him as far as putting him in the same tiers like Patrick Mahomes as a quarterback, not as a fantasy option. But then again, this is the fantasy show.
Yeah, but I do believe that he is probably closer right now to a Dak Prescott than he is to a Mahomes. I think for a long period of time, there was the argument of who should be there with Mahomes. Should it be Burrow? Should it be Allen? Should it be both? I think it's Burrow, just Burrow, who
we
should be
both
close
had
to that
Burrow.
level.
We both
Yeah,
had Burrow as the second best quarterback.
I
Actually, I
think
believe that was our first episode, if I'm not mistaken,
yeah, I think
that
so
we
as
talked
well.
about it.
I mean, Allen is now what? I believe he's 5 turnovers away from his career high right now, and he's missing
Oh, he's
7 games.
gonna
Yeah,
get that. Yeah.
right now he's averaging 1.4 turnovers per game. His highest so far has been 1.19. So,
So
I mean,
here's an
it's
interesting
not doing
question.
great. Yeah.
Because we do have to get into the fantasy portion at some point, but I just want to ask this question. So let's say, because I'm going to assume that Miami is going to take the division because I don't foresee them losing enough games for the Bills to catch up. If the Bills get on a hot streak and get a wild card seed, are you afraid of the Bills in a first round matchup, or do you want the Bills in a first round matchup?
I think you always sort of have to be afraid of them. I mean, the defense is still pretty
That's
good.
fair.
So when it comes to those playoff matchups, I mean, the defense is tremendous and they are missing a few pieces right now that should be back sometime down the road, I believe. I'm not sure if any of them, at the top of my head, if any of them are season ending, but I don't think so. Especially on the secondary. And like the offense, I mean, we have seen them get going. Like versus Miami, for example, they got it going, and they played well. So I think maybe it's just a slump, and like the offensive coordinator had more to do with it than we are probably giving him credit. So yeah, I
Brian
think I would
Dable.
be afraid of them because
I'm
I
pretty sure Brian
think
Daboll wishes he was still in Buffalo right now.
Did you see there was a report yesterday that I read like I think it was closer to game time. But it was something on the lines of if Dable and the general manager, who I cannot recall the name right now, of the Giants do not get permission to basically have like a carte blanche on every single decision that they can make during the offseason, that they are willing to leave the franchise. So they
What?
want total control, yeah. So
So whoa,
it reads as middling
time out.
ownership.
Is that hinting that Dayball and the GM did not want Daniel Jones?
That could be it. Yeah, I read a lot of reports in that sense. That was like the underline, basically.
Wow.
Yeah, they
Woo!
want to operate freely, and apparently, middling, like the ownership got into it, got into to their business basically last off season. That's how I read it.
Wow.
Yeah,
Well, I
and
mean,
the last line.
the Giants look so bad they are going to be in the range to draft a quarterback. Let's be real.
Yeah, last line also said that the door was open for both to go back to Buffalo. So, does
In
that
Buffalo.
carry any sort of? This was before the game, by the way. So this does this carry any sort of weight, or is it more just a random Monday report? I guess we shall see what happens
Yeah,
during the off season, but
yeah, that's
doesn't
true.
seem like they're too happy.
I mean, I wouldn't be too happy either with the state of the New York Giants right now. So I can see that. So here's the question. Let's get into fantasy. Is Noah Brown just a thing this year?
Seems like it, isn't it? I mean, I know they don't have Nico Collins, but I mean,
Yeah, he's
after
been out.
this, yeah, like he's been out the past 2 or 3 weeks. But I mean, with the production that he's showing, can you really just throw him back into the bench?
You can't, right? Like,
I don't think so.
like him and CJ Stroud have this crazy connection right now.
Yeah, like I mean, the dude back-to-back 100 yards performances. I believe that's the first time he even had a 100-yard performance in his 7-year career right now. He played
Hmm.
69 career games. This is the first time he has had 100-yard performances, period. Uh, it's kind of hard to just say. I mean, at least give him a shot over Robert Woods, because Robert Woods seems sort of done.
Yeah,
But now, do you even give him a chance over the rookie Tank Val? Does he play ahead of Tank Val?
that's a good question, and that actually goes into the next question I was going to ask. Is he someone that you target if you're competing, whether that be in redraft or dynasty?
That's it's funny that you mentioned that because I did acquire him in one league yesterday. Yeah, the 32
Or
team
what?
league.
I'm curious.
Now, it's kind of hard to evaluate here because it is a 32 team league, full IDP
Oh, it's the
contract league,
32.
all of that thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
kind of hard to evaluate, but I traded a fourth that it's looking pretty high and a rookie defensive lineman who's getting some rotation for the Houston Texans for no Brown basically. So, I mean, I think a fair offer right now, if you're playing in any sort of like regular dynasty league, probably a third gets you the player, like a mid to late third, probably. What do you think?
I don't know. I think it's hard to tell because I think hmm I think the if you have Noah Brown, you almost want to hold him just to see. I don't know. It would be a hard call for me.
I mean, he's
It's kind of hard to
26
give
though,
up giving someone who's had 300 yards in 2 weeks.
but he was worthless like
He
a
he
week ago.
was he was worthless like a week ago.
So, I mean, in this sense, I think like I acquired him because I thought I was trading another wide receiver. I thought I was trading Christian Watson, who we will talk about later.
Oh
And so
boy.
I needed the wide receiver there to just fill the slot if I needed anything. Eventually, I didn't trade Watson, so he's just kind of chilling there. Like I think it's entirely possible that we are talking about them next week as like okay, so that was just a 2 week stretch because the wide receivers are healthy and he's just back to the being irrelevant.
Mm.
I think it can definitely be a thing. He was what? He was third in the league, in the team in
So
terms of routes run, second for wide receivers.
so here's a question. When did Tank Dell go down?
Tank Dell went down prior to the bye week, so I can find you like the exact time he went down. But Tank Dell, he went down.
Week 6.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, week six,
Okay.
then he had the bye, then he came back. Technically, week five, he went in. He went down like mid game or early in the game.
I just set an offer for Noah Brown. Just screw it. Just to see. But anyway, so after Noah Brown, after Tank Dell went down, Noah Brown has a 72% snap share or more the last 3 weeks.
It's true. And like versus Carolina, all of them were healthy. All of them were active, and he was second between those three guys in targets, only one behind Nico Collins versus Carolina.
It's
Maybe
just
he does
crazy.
have some
Just
sort like
crazy.
I just don't think he has any sort of future because I don't think any of those guys have any sort of future with the Texans. That's why I'm always sort of like reluctant to acquire them unless you're paying like dirt cheap. So that's why I would probably target Noah over the other two because I do think the other two are probably more expensive, and I don't think they have any sort of meaningful long-term value. At least not to what they are costing you right now, because I do think they are a team that will get a wide receiver in that room, either through free agency or through the draft.
I mean, you're not wrong. I'm not talking about long term, like a long term investment. I mean, if you're competing.
Yeah, like if you're paying their cheap, as I said, fourth round pick, whatever, like go for it. I mean, there's third, fourth round picks; those grow in trees, and you're probably not getting a better player. So yeah, if I'm targeting a Texans wide receiver, it's probably no Brown, and I will just live with the consequences of him just being a 2 week thing if it does
Yeah,
happen. I wouldn't acquire any of the other two because I think they will cost you a fair bit, and I'm
that's
not
fair.
sure how good they will be long term.
No, that's
Class,
more than a fair assessment.
yeah, the class coming up, it's kind of good. Like these are the guys projecting to be free agents next year. Like, of
Mhm.
course, deals can happen between now and then, but like Mike Evans can be a free agent. Tyler Boyd slated to be a free agent. Hollywood Brown, Calvin Ridley, T. Higgins, Michael Pittman. All of these guys are currently
Didn't Calvin
projected.
Ridley sign an extension?
Yeah, he hasn't. He's
He hasn't signed an
currently
extension with the Jags.
no,
Interesting.
no, nothing.
Hmm.
And it's sort of understandable because he didn't play for quite a while, so sort of need to see what they have in him. And I guess we can talk about him as well, and I guess we can just move on to him, I guess, now. But Ridley, so I was right on Ridley after all.
You were right on Ridley after all.
Like, he started the season, first game, he was pretty good, and then he sort of just disappeared. Like, he has had the good game here and there, but like another disappointing outing. 3 targets, 2 catches, 20 yards. What would you sell Ridley right now in Dynasty?
Would I sell right now? Probably
Yeah,
not, because I think Ridley's problems could as much be a problem that the Jacksonville offense is really like stagnating. And once it comes back, then it'll be fine. But mm,
Trevor Lawrence has exactly 2 games with 2 touchdowns this year.
yeah, he's been struggling pretty hard.
Yeah, you can say that again. He has 9 touchdowns, 9 passing touchdowns on the season, 6 interceptions. I think
So what do
it's.
you think it is? Just out of curiosity.
I just think it's not that good, to be
You
honest.
don't think Trevor Lawrence is that
No,
good?
no, no. Calvin Ridley. My bad. I don't think Calvin Ridley is that good. That's the issue. And I think that Lawrence is probably not a top 12 QB that we made him out to be. Can that just be the case? That is like, he isn't great. Like, he had a good season last year, sure, but something isn't clicking right now. He's getting sacked more. He has been sacked 24 times this year. He got sacked 27 last year, the full year, 17 games. Right now on 9, he's getting sacked 24 times. So it's for sure going over the 27 line. It's probably going to be the year in which he gets sacked the most. The first year with Urban Meyer, he got sacked 32 times. Do you think that Trevor Lawrence is still a top what QB to you?
That's a tough. Sorry, that's a tough call because I think after like the top, I'd say 7 quarterbacks, I think it's debatable.
Hmm.
So
So I was reading arguments about him not being a top. I don't know. I've read arguments that he's not a top 15 QB right now in the league.
he's not a top 15 quarterback right now in the league.
Yeah.
Wow. Just
Again,
out of
that's
curiosity, who's the 15 quarterbacks then?
no, I was just that was a comment that I read, and I like there were few people behind it. Like there wasn't a list there of the QBs that the person thought were higher
Uh,
than Trevor Lawrence. But I mean, I guess we can just take a quick look at the QBs right now leading the NFL, and like I guess we can do it for fantasy. But like for
mhm.
fantasy football, I guess we can do this or that for Trevor Lawrence in Superflex. But I mean, would you rather have
This or that for Trevor Lawrence would be very good. Yes, go ahead.
okay Trevor Lawrence or Tua Tagovailoa?
In Dynasty,
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence.
Okay. See, I would rather have Tua. Trevor Lawrence or Kyler Murray?
Trevor Lawrence.
I think I'd rather have Kyler.
Really? You're that low on this guy?
I mean, I don't know. I think Kyler, for all his flaws, he at least can give you some good fantasy production. And I mean, he's probably getting a chance somewhere else if he doesn't get it in Arizona. And I think the door is currently more open than it was to start the season for him to stay with Arizona. If he can get them a few wins as he comes back, I mean, I think he has a pretty solid case to stay as the QB. But Trevor Lawrence or Anthony Richardson?
Ooh, Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, I think I'll take Richardson as well. So,
Jesus, dude.
okay, Jared Goff or Trevor Lawrence?
Trevor Lawrence.
Goff is quite a bit, yeah, Goff is quite a bit lower than Lawrence here, but thought it was interesting. Sam Howell or Trevor Lawrence?
Ooh,
Ah, hesitation.
Trevor Lawrence.
The fact that there was hesitation tells me tells me that it's worrisome right now for Lawrence. You do prefer him over all of those guys. I don't think there's a point in like Mahomes, Ertz, Allen. I think you have Burrow,
Yeah,
Stroud, Herbert, Lamar,
yeah.
Lamar or Trevor.
Lamar.
Okay, so yeah. I mean, so you're sort of like you sort of agree with the list on keep trade cut. Like the only guy you have like below Trevor Lawrence that isn't in keep trade cut is Richardson. The others are all below Trevor. So
Mhm.
I feel like I'm probably a bit lower on him. And that's probably just it. Last one. Dak Prescott or Trevor Lawrence?
I might do Dak.
Okay. So you go against that there because Dak is quite a bit low. Like he is 3 tiers below Trevor Lawrence.
Wow. Dak
Yeah.
Prescott is like a borderline top 5 quarterback right now.
And he's QB 12 in keep trade cut, and he's on tier 9. Lawrence is on tier 6.
I hope you know since they played the San Francisco game, Dak hasn't finished under a QB3 for the week.
Yeah, I've heard. I've heard.
I've heard.
I think he has been QB1, QB3, and QB1 or something like
Two
that.
QB1s, a QB2, and a QB3. Yeah, it's crazy, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. Thankfully, when you play me, he faces Philadelphia. Let's see if Philadelphia can knock that out, can knock the nonsense out of it. Okay, so that's Trevor Lawrence out of the way. I guess we can talk about another guy that we are sort of high on that has sort of just crumbled like an house of cards. But Christian Watson, dude, what could have been?
See, I don't even like. Okay, it's not up to Christian Watson standards, but I'm not necessarily sure it's been that bad.
Oh, it has been that bad from what I've seen so
Has
far.
it?
I mean, it's either that the dude regressed massively or that the connection isn't there with Jordan Love.
Hmm.
And I mean, if Love proves himself to be the QB at least for like another year or two, that kind of just dooms Christian Watson if the connection isn't there and doesn't develop. I mean, it's just the passes that are being thrown to Watson right now, and he did lead the league, the team in targets this past week, and he's getting the high leverage targets, he's getting the red zone targets. But the thing is, he isn't catching them, and not only
Let
is
me
he
see.
not catching them, they are leading to interceptions. So, I mean, I think it's worrisome right now. And I wouldn't be shocked if he isn't the wide receiver one on the team by season's end. I'm not sure if I wouldn't be if I
Yeah,
would even be surprised if he isn't the wide receiver two.
you wouldn't be surprised if he's not even the wide receiver too.
Yeah. And I've seen plenty of Green Bay Packers fans who are fed up with the guy. No, it's fans, of course. They lose, they're mad with players, but that there's quite a few who are just done with this Christian Watson thing.
Wow.
And you know who's catching the deep balls? Like people say that Jordan Love doesn't have an arm and all that, but you know who's catching the balls? Jaden Reed. He's making the catches.
He is
He's
doing very
developing the
well.
connection. Yeah. It's getting rough for Watson, and his value is taking a big hit. I think I just owned him in like 2 or 3 leagues. I wish I would have sold by now. And like he's plummeting.
Yeah, you acquired him in a bunch of leagues, didn't you?
Yeah, I have him in the 32 team league. I had him in the Nas, but I traded him to Justin in the Diggs deal.
Hmm.
Yeah, I have him in a few other leagues that I just don't care as much about. I mean, Watson is getting the depth of target right now this season, but it's like the catches just aren't happening. And maybe it's just a connection problem, and when they have the connection going, it will work because Watson did miss part of the camp,
He did.
so connection is harder to achieve. It's one thing if you because he did miss, not sure if camp, but part of the off season last year with Aaron Rodgers. But it's one thing to come back and develop chemistry with a Hall of Famer. It's another thing to just try and get that going with a first year starter QB. I guess he isn't a rookie, but it's his first year as a starter.
Hmm.
Yeah, but Jaden Reed is probably the wide receiver one there by end of the season, to be honest.
I could see it. So, have we like did we jump the shark A with Sam Laporta and B with like the tight ends overall?
As
Like
one
did everyone
usually does with rookies.
did is was the Sam Laporta tight end one argument a little bit suspect?
Uh, it depends. Like, how low will he even go right now? Like, He's still first in keep trade cut.
He's still the tight end one?
Yeah, still the tight end one. Not really wavering.
That's crazy.
I mean, and like for a tight end, I mean, yeah, 4 for 40 isn't ideal. That's what he had this week versus the Chargers, but it's
Hmm.
passable for a tight end. And the
Oh
week
yeah.
prior, he did have the touchdown, and it was 8 for 57. So the production is at least there. And I think like his age, the production he's giving you at this age, I think it's fair to place him in that echelon right now. He's 22.
You think it's fair to place him alongside like Travis Kelsey and Mark Andrews?
Like Kelsey, yes, because of the age. Andrews and Hawk is an argument for me. But I guess if you
I
just
just
value, like, I guess it depends on the team construction. If you're a young team and you're not ready to compete yet and you need like another season or two, Laporte is a better play for you than those guys.
hmm, I don't know. I think we're jumping the shark here. I don't think Sam Laporte is a bad tight end, but I'm not sure if I'm ready to call him a tight end one. Like the first the definitive tight end one. Like I
Like,
don't know.
is tight end, top three tight end better for you?
No,
So you'd put him lower than that.
probably yeah.
Lower than five?
I don't know if I'd say lower than 5.
Okay, so you have Hawk, Andrews, Kelsey, and who else ahead of him? No one? Kincaid, Pitts?
Yeah, then that's the struggle.
It's like the
It
thing
would have to be,
is like the same age as Cal Pitts, which is wild.
and not nearly as athletic.
Yeah, but he's getting the production,
He is getting the production. I'm not arguing that.
and he isn't tied with Arthur Smith.
Is so once again were people wrong with the Dalton Kincaid hate? Is Dalton Kincaid firmly establishing himself as a top 12 tight end? Because he's producing like it. He's producing like it right now,
I think for
right?
Dynasty, there's probably a pretty solid top six, which I wouldn't really argue with. And it just goes Laporte, whichever order you want to place it in. But
Right. Of
Laporta,
course.
Hawkinson, Andrews, I think it's tier one. Then Kelsey, it's tier two because he's still the most productive tight end right now, but the age. And then
Yeah.
tier three, I think I would say Kincaid and Pitts. And then yes, I guess like McBride can jump into that tier sometime soon. Goddard can jump into that tier sometimes, like probably is in that tier as well. But I think the top five is the one that I'm confident with. It's those three in those three tiers, and you could just rank them however you want.
What about Ferguson?
Ferguson is like, does it continue when they eventually get a reliable wide receiver too?
You don't think Brandon Cooks? They brought in someone to try to be that reliable wide receiver too, in Brandon
Yeah,
Cooks.
yeah, I said what I said.
Okay, he said. Okay, he said what he said.
Cooks is sort of cooked, to
And
be
then they
honest.
still have Gallup, Michael
No,
Gallup
no,
there.
no. Gallup is
No,
terrible.
no.
Gallup is losing snaps to Jalen Tolbert.
This is not wrong.
Yeah.
This is not wrong.
So I definitely wouldn't say is like Gallup is still a thing, to be honest. Yeah, just this week he played 62% of the snaps, Tolbert. I guess part of it is because of the garbage time, but he was playing when the game wasn't just completely done. But Gallup
Hmm.
got the touchdown, so
Okay. I don't know. Is there any other discussions, like player discussions, you want to have? Because
I wanted to underline the report that I saw as well yesterday. Arthur Smith is reportedly
Oh
good
boy,
with
not
the
Arthur
ownership.
Smith.
Yeah, he has the
Stop
full
it!
support. Yeah, he has the full support of the ownership, and the plan right now is for him to coach the team in 2024.
So the plan is for the Falcons not to have less than 100 passing yards. That's the plan. This is the
That's
plan.
that's what the
This is the
owner
plan.
wants. That's what
This
the owner wants.
not the Falcons, dude. Like, come
Oh,
on.
it's crazy.
Like
Do you know?
once again, I made the scenario. You have the Ferrari. The Ferrari frame. You got the Kyle Pitts. You have the Drake London. You have the Bijan Robinson. You need something to facilitate. Man, I don't know.
You know
I'm
Ran
willing to give Arthur Smith a chance with a quarterback that isn't Tyler Heineke or Desmond Ritter, but like, come on, dude. Like,
just
I don't know.
just you wait when it is time for the Falcons to be on the clock and they select as a top 10 pick Brock Bowers, tight end out of Georgia.
That would be a sad, sad day indeed.
And they just run three tight end sets every single play.
Oh yeah, they got to get Jonu involved still.
Yeah, of course, like those two are just like Bowers and Pitts are just distractions. Jonu is the one getting the targets.
Yeah,
That's the Arthur Smith plan. But I was saying, do you know who ran the most routes out of any Atlanta Falcons player last week versus the Cardinals?
was it Jonu Smith?
No, Jonu was fourth. Well, third technically because there's a tie for second. So third or fourth, yeah. But the guy who ran the most routes was Bijan Robinson.
Well, they have heard your complaints, fans.
See?
Arthur
And
Smith has heard your complaints about Bijan Robinson.
he got goal line carries as well.
Yeah,
Rejoice, people!
God.
But yeah, the guy who ran the second most, then it was London and Pitts with 20 routes. They only ran 20 routes. That's crazy to me.
That I mean, you want to figure out how someone gets less than 100 passing yards. There you go. Man, I don't know. It's just frustrating, dude. It's frustrating.
Yeah. They passed the ball 19 times. They had 38 carries
It's
as a
so
team.
frustrating. It's
Yeah.
so frustrating.
And it's not pleasant right now, I'll say that.
It's pretty tough if you have. Oh God, and if you have multiple Atlanta, oh God, bless your heart. Bless your heart if you have like at least two of Bijan, Pitts, and London.
I did.
You
Not
did.
anymore.
You couldn't do it anymore. You couldn't take the pain.
I
You had to
passed part
spring.
of the pain to you.
I mean, I don't mind having Cal pitch. It's a
It
nice tight
just
end.
goes back. It just goes back to the argument that I had during the draft, isn't it? Like back in that draft, I said Chase was the better player. I said Javante was the better running back, which is false right now, I guess. And I said that Pitts would carry the most value for the longest. Like even if he didn't produce right away or like
That's
for a
I.
couple of years,
But
yeah. I think like of course he has lost some value,
he's lost a
but
lot of value, my dude.
he's lost a lot of value. But for a guy who hasn't produced for like 2 years right now, I mean, he's still in the same realm of like value as a Devontae Adams, a Keenan Allen, an Alvin Kamara, a George Pickens. Like, find me a player who can like. Where did he finish last year? Okay, he was out last year, wasn't it? Yeah, he was out for like 7 games last year. He finished 33 for a tight end. He's currently tight end 17. His rookie year was the best, but he only had a touchdown and finished tight end
One
6.
single touchdown. Yes.
Yeah. and he's still worth around a 2025 late first. So yeah, he did lose some value. But I mean, find me a player who did as bad as he did, and he still has any sort of value like that.
It's just so hard to watch the Atlanta Falcons, dude. Like, what is wrong with you? Like, why do you subject yourself to that?
I have no clue. Even Atlanta fans that I interact with, they are pretty fed up with all of this. They are just like when you see fans back in the trade deadline, when you see fans just clamoring for a guy like Justin Fields, you know the team is just in the mud. There's
They're
nothing else.
they're clamoring for Justin.
Imagine like watching Justin Fields, and I'm just completely dunking on the guy, even though he hasn't played in a while. But imagine watching Justin Fields just sucking for like 3 seasons, and the team is just so bad that you're clamoring for the guy to join the team. Just poor guys. I
Yeah,
did.
that is true. Imagine watching Justin Fields and being like this, and this is better than what we have currently.
I wish I could have this guy. I did want to talk about a duo that I think we talked about just shortly last week, no, last episode. Oh my God, English is hard. But it is the Montgomery Jameer Gibbs duo. We finally see them both back in action after Gibbs played pretty well in Montgomery's absence. And they came back, and surprisingly, Jameer Gibbs is getting more touches, and he got, I believe it was 3 or 4 goal line carries to Monty's 2. So he had almost double, I think, double the amount of goal line carries that David Montgomery had. Plus, he had 2 more carries overall. Is Jameer Gibbs taking over, and did we just overreact? And was I pretty stupid in not making that trade that we were discussing about like a couple of weeks ago? I think.
Which deal?
Oh, it was the one with Kyle Pitts in a late first. I remember I was going back and forth on that one.
Kyle Pitts in a late first for what? I don't even remember the deal.
It was Jameer Gibbs back before Gibbs went
No,
on
you
this
should have.
tear. Oh, now I should have. Thanks. But before your argument was like,
You
oh
should have.
yeah, I
You should
mean,
have.
if
One
the
hundred
dude
percent
hasn't
smashed
produced,
accepted that.
no, 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 no. Your argument back then was, oh my God, yeah, if the dude isn't producing, can you even trust him? And I was like, yeah, you have a
True.
point.
You're
Like
right.
he
I
isn't
was
really
wrong.
doing much. Yeah,
I was
and
wrong.
I was wrong as well. I was just afraid that I wasn't getting a full Jameer Gibbs experience. But apparently, he has been unleashed. Now, is this just like they're easing him back in? Okay, it's ribs, so it's kind of hard because
Mm.
I'm not sure how high the chance of re-injuring that is, and how like does he need to get his feet wet before he just gets the full workload? I'm not sure if that's the case with a ribs injury, but it was with DK, I think. He started off slow when he first came back, and I guess you sort of don't want to expose the ribs. First game in, it's a painful injury from what I've heard. And
Hmm.
you can just imagine that having broken ribs or hurt ribs isn't great. So does this continue, or do you think it is Jameer Gibbs as the 1A right now?
I don't know. I think that I don't think they can coexist. That's just me.
I mean, but they have though.
They have. You're not wrong. They have, but I just think it was a bad defense. I really do. Like,
Yeah, I've seen the argument going around that like if you take away the big carry for Montgomery, because he did have a 75-yard touchdown run, And if you take that away, then his rushing numbers are sort of meh. But again, like Gibbs had like a 40 something yard run. So if you take that away as well, then it's sort of a meh rushing day as well for him. Now he did have the passing down works, which Montgomery doesn't have, and he did. He did outtouch him at the goal line, but I think it is the goal line, especially. It's because it's a more bruising job, so I think it's just to prevent any sort of re-injury to get to Montgomery. I think they can coexist. Now, early in the season, it was Montgomery as the 1A, Gibbs as the 1B, and it worked in Gibbs' favor because he
Hmm.
did have the passing down work. Now,
Yeah.
if it is Gibbs 1A, Montgomery 1B, I think it will work. It just won't work as well for Montgomery because it doesn't have the receiving work
I
unless
think it was
he.
always going to work like that, where Montgomery was going to be more of your short yardage and goal line back, and he would be more reliant on touchdowns, and Gibbs was going to be more of the receiving back,
Yeah,
a la
but
DeAndre
my
Swift.
concern right now is if what we saw this past week in terms of goal line distribution, if that
Hmm.
continues, then I'm concerned. But if we come out next game and it's like they have, I don't know, they have like seven goal line
I'm
carries
t-
and it's
I'm
like
telling
five
you,
to
it was a
two.
bad. I'm giving it. I'm saying give it another week. It was a bad D. The Chargers couldn't stop anything. Literally,
Yeah,
literally.
yeah. I think it will be his job at the goal line. He got stuffed twice or three times even versus the Chargers this past week.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that it will eventually just be his full-time role as a goal line back. Plus, he will have all of the carries like in the middle of the field and so on. I think they can coexist, but they do face the toughest run defense in the league right now. And you probably will be surprised when I say the name, but the Bears. The Bears are the toughest run defense in the whole league right now. They are the best.
Mm-hmm.
So
Sure they
kind of
are.
surprised when I heard that, but it is true actually. It is true. I was surprised when I saw that, but
Bears.
it is true.
The good old Bears, man.
The good old Bears. Bear down.
I don't know, man. So what? So the value for the 2024 draft is ridiculous. It's astronomical. In fact, let's go to Keep Trade. Go to Keep Trade Tracker right now. What is an early 2024 Firth worst on Keep Trade Cut right now?
Oh wait, it's a lot. It is worth about 6,591 points. For context, that's roughly, let me check real quick here.
The
For
worst 600 6,000. How much say that again?
6,000, and I can just turn on picks here. And where are the picks? Because I got away from that screen. Okay, yeah, 6,591 points in value, and that is over what Brees Hall is worth. This is super flex, so
I have non super flex right
okay,
now in non super flex. That's the 2025 first. Where's the 2024 first? Oh my god!
yeah, it needs to be
A
high.
2024 first in non super flex is the 16th most valuable. That means there are only 15 players that are more valuable than that pick right now. Early. It's
Yeah,
not the guaranteed 101. An early. Oh my god.
yeah. In super flex, there's only 18 right now, and you can imagine that quite a few are running by are QBs.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I I haven't really dwelled in the 2024 class, but
Mm.
I was under the impression that it fell down after Marvin Harrison Jr. Apparently, like there's from what I've heard, there's like one running back who's solid right now, but it's a meh running back class. There are a few wide receivers, like four or five, that should be in that tier two right after Marvin Harrison Jr. that should be good. So I'm kind of surprised, to be honest, with the value of the 2024 picks,
Early, yeah. Like I
early
said,
picks. Yeah.
I did what I did because of the evaluation. I think
Hmm.
I think it's crazy.
I'm surprised, to be honest. I didn't expect this. Like the
You
2024 mid first is around the 40 highest worth assets in Keep Trade Cut. So above Jackson Smith and Jigba, for example.
yeah.
Yeah,
Like
that's
right now
surprising, actually.
in non-super flex, an early 2024 first right now is worth just more than Jalen Waddle and just less than Josh Allen.
I'm very surprised, to be honest. Might have done well in keeping Justin's pick after all.
You you might have. I'm actually curious. So that's the downfall of trading out your 2024 first. Is now I'm just gonna sit back and watch every other team that has picks get better either through the draft or through trades at the draft, and then I'm just gonna have to just go in there with my roster next year and figure it out. But that's the downside. But man,
At least this year you have some. You still have some picks, don't you? You just don't have the firsts.
I have 2/3 and a fourth.
Oh, okay. I thought you had
Yeah, no,
more. I thought you had some
nope, nope,
seconds
nope,
in there as well.
nope, nope, nope.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I haven't really looked into the class that much, but I was really under the impression that it wasn't this good of a class. But apparently, I was mistaken. I mean, the early
Well, I'll
firsts.
I'll wait till the combine before I make that assessment. But yeah,
Okay, yeah. Well, like in terms of what people are valuing those right now, and it's not
yeah.
even peak off season where the picks just go through the roof. But I mean, worth around the Garrett Wilson, who's a proven commodity and playing well with a below average QB.
Let's assume Marvin Harrison Jr. tests well. How many wide receivers would you rather have other than him? And I'm pretty sure this list isn't going to be very long.
Uh, am I
Because just
competing neutral?
let's just say neutral, even though
Okay,
that's probably not the scenario that you're going to be in if you got the 101. But let's just say neutral.
okay. So Jefferson and Chase, for sure, are still above him because they are established and they're great. Um, I mean, this late resurgence of CD Lamb sort of makes me want to put him there. He's only
Yeah,
24, should be 25 next when the next season starts.
CeeDee
So
Lamb is
CD
going to be
Lamb,
having a crazy
yeah,
season.
CD Lamb. Then it's a question, I guess, because AJ Brown should be 27.
Yep.
Now he's still tied to a pretty good QB for him. And he has been producing pretty well. I mean, he's wide receiver 3 on Keep Trade Cut.
Mhm.
I still think I would put AJ Brown ahead of him, and I think I would put Amon-Ra St. Brown ahead of him because we are at an age in which, like, you either go with the ceiling guys who can give you those crazy boom games, or
Mhm.
you just go with the PPR machine guys. Now that most leagues are PPR or half PPR,
Yeah.
just go with the catching machines like Amon-Ra. So I think I would take Amon-Ra still.
Do you think there's a,
And
do you think there's a chance that Detroit tries to draft more wide receivers and that doesn't like take away from Amon Ra's role because he's always going to be the slot guy, but it kind of takes away from his targets?
I could see it, but I just think the targets would be more consolidated. So you wouldn't have the Reynolds, you wouldn't have the Khalif Raymonds, you wouldn't have the Jameson Williams, you wouldn't have all of those guys, and the targets would just flow directly through Amon Ra, directly through the tight end Sam Laporta, and whoever they draft as a wide receiver too. So it would be a more consolidated offense. So in that
Uh,
sense, I really don't think it would knock Amon Ra that much, to be honest. Now, there is one thing to consider is if they draft, say they draft a wide receiver in the first this year, Does Amon Rise, a third round pick, we should be careful about it, translate into him losing substantial value?
Oh, he will
Or
definitely be substantial.
because that he is a third round pick or a
Yeah.
fourth round pick? Okay, yeah. Because that's always my fear when acquiring these guys who aren't like elite. Because, for example, say that the Cowboys draft a wide receiver in the first. Are you even worried with CD Lamb?
No. I mean,
Of
Justin
course.
Jefferson was your case scenario. They drafted Jordan Addison in the first.
Of course. And nothing happened. Now, if they draft someone for Amon-Ra St. Brown, and we saw that when they draft Jameson. They draft Jameson, Amon-Ra lost value. Like, he's a top 5 wide receiver, but right now in Keep Trade Cut, but is he the most volatile top, I want to say even 10 wide receiver right now in
He
Keep
might,
Trade
yeah.
Cut?
He might be, yeah.
Yeah, which is concerning because I have a few Amon-Ra shares. Truly only one in the league that I care about. It's a 32 team league. The others, I think it's redraft actually. But I mean, that is a point. But right now, I would say, as things stand, Amon Ra ahead of Marvin Harrison Jr. Then I think it's an argument because then it's Garrett Wilson or Marvin Harrison Jr. And I guess you can use the same argument that we used when when Jackson Smith and Jigba came out. They were saying Wilson and Olave did say that Jackson Smith and Jigba was the better wide receiver
Yeah.
out of those three.
Yep.
And I think I've heard similar things from these wide receivers regarding Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah.
So if we're taking their word as gospel, then I think we should do this here as well for Marvin Harrison Jr.
That's fair.
So I would say Marvin Harrison Jr. is wide receiver 6 if he tests well and comes out and he is a top 5 pick. Now, rookie draft hype, he will probably be ahead of AJ Brown and Amon-Ra St. Brown, to be honest.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
So I think there's going to be a lot of I think there's going to be a lot of interesting trades, and then also not a lot, because if you believe the hype that Marvin Harrison Jr. is like the next Calvin Johnson, which is a ridiculous claim to make, by the way, that is a very ridiculous claim, then you're not moving at that point. If you truly believe he's Calvin Johnson Jr., you have no reason to move him for anything. Right?
Yes. Like, if you're saying you're drafting the next Jamar Chase, like, who are you even trading him for?
I don't even say, like, no. Calvin, to me, Calvin Johnson is in a whole nother tier than Jamar Chase.
Yeah, but okay, but for the younger audience, because Johnson has been out for a while
That's
now.
fair.
I only caught the last few years of his career, even.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really remember him as as a prospect. Like the greatest prospect that I've seen so far in terms of a wide receiver has been Jamar Chase.
That's
So I
fair.
mean, if you're telling me I can either draft Jamar Chase or trade him, I mean, I think I take Jamar Chase every single day of the week. Now,
That's fair.
is there any scenario, and I think I've made this question before, but I mean, say he comes out and he has a pretty underwhelming combine, like a Jordan Edison, for example.
Oh,
And like
that's
there's
cold water.
another,
That's cold water
okay.
right on him. Go ahead. Sorry.
And if there's another wide receiver or two come out and just put a Jackson Smith and Jigba or I don't know who else from the previous class. I mean, if they put in a Jamar Chase type of combine, does that change your opinion, or is what you've
Probably
seen?
not.
Okay, yeah. So what you have seen through 3 years at OSU, that's what's engraved in your memory, right?
It kind of has to be, right? Like,
I mean, we
how
have
many
seen combine taking down players.
we have? You're not wrong about that. But I mean, how many? I'm trying to remember, like, how far do you have to go before you find an OSU wide receiver that was hyped up and didn't pan out? Like
It's a good question.
the like they've brought out a lot of really freaking good ones, dude. Like Chris
Yeah,
Olave, Garrett Wilson, JSN looks pretty good for the Seahawks. Like how far do you got to go? Like I don't know.
uh, Benjamin Victor.
There you go. Like
I've never heard of this dude, so that like that's like the first guy that popped up when I was searching for
bust
OSU
what you
wide
want.
receiver. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I guess Paris Campbell.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a
I
good one.
guess that's probably the worst one.
But that's the thing. Like OSU has just been like a factory for wide receivers.
They have two coming out this year, isn't it? Uh, Igbuka or something like that. Igbuka? Am
Yeah,
I saying that right?
I can't say his name either. So,
Okay.
but yes,
Yeah, they have those two coming out this year.
he's also probably going to be a first round dynasty rookie pick at this rate.
Yeah, I mean, he seems to be more of the type of wide receiver that he seems to, from what I'm reading and from what I'm seeing right now, very small research here on the fly. He seems like the type of player I will like because he's an elite route runner, it seems. More
Oh,
of a route
more
runner
in the
guy than a freak.
more in the Chris Olave role is what you're saying.
Yeah, Chris Olave, Terry McLaurin as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
six
forgot
one,
Terry
203.
McLaurin. That's
Yeah, Terry McLaurin was my first draft crush, I think. Like, that was the dude I
that's
knew was gonna be good. I was bullish on.
telling you, man. If you just drafted OSU wide receivers in the last whatever 3-4 drafts, you have a pretty good wide receiver room right now. You do.
You do, for sure, for sure. I mean, if you just draft OSU wide receivers, you would have Jackson Smith and Jigba, Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, and Terry McLaurin.
Yeah, you do.
Michael Thomas as well.
Yeah.
Damn.
Like, uh, it's just hard.
But yeah, I think I'm not even gonna try and acquire the pick because I've sort of given up the 101 to Austin, and I'm not even gonna try and make any sort of moves to it. I'll just leave with the 102.
So
I
here's
don't think it will be worth it.
here's you don't think it will be worth it. So you don't.
In terms of what he will ask me for, I don't think it will be a fair asking price.
Okay, that's probably true. But okay, if you believed that Marvin Harrison Jr. is the next, gonna go back to it, is the next Calvin Johnson, is there really a price that's too much for the difference of one pick?
I just don't think ask for. Like I'm
That's
looking at my
that's the
team right
question.
now, and I think like he wants a young team. I think his asking price will be at 20, the 102 and Drake London. That's what I'm guessing right now. If we
What if
were to
it's
do
future?
this,
So okay, so would you? So you have the 102. Would you? Do you believe enough in Marvin Harrison Jr. to give up the 102 and two first on top of that in future drafts to secure Marvin Harrison? Do you believe that much in him? I guess that's a question for the post combine, but
yeah, I think it really depends on the combine.
yeah,
And it's hard for me right now because I know Marvin Harrison Jr.'s name, I know his play, and
yep,
I know he's good, but I don't know what the rest of the class looks like. So I can maybe I can find a guy in this class that like I think it's at least at a close level to Marvin Harrison Jr.
right.
And like if I don't, then I would think about that. I'm not sure if he would do that.
Because
to
here's
be
the
honest.
advice that I would give someone if you're whether you're just starting off or you've been doing this for a while. And if you've been doing this for a while, maybe you already get this. But if there's a prospect you like, go for it. Go for him. Would you agree with that?
I mean, that's
I,
sort of what I did with Chase. I just,
as long as you're willing to eat whatever the cost is to get your guy, go for it. Like if it's a price so ridiculous that you can't even like stomach it, then yeah. But if you believe in this guy and the guy you would pick with that selection that you're going to move, you wouldn't believe in, just go for your guy.
yeah, that's what
And
I did with
you're
Chase, and that's what I did with JMO as well.
yeah. No, exactly. And you were right with Chase, wrong with JMO, and that's the thing. You're going to be wrong. No one's 100%. You're never going to be 100%, especially in freaking Dynasty. Let's get that expectation out the door. I know there's a lot of people who are like, you have to get all your takes all have to be. That's not how this works. That's not how Dynasty works. I promise you.
I'm wrong so far.
Hell, hell, you're not even right on your predictions for the football matchups. You're 40% right now. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I do think that JMO is starting to play better.
it's not JMO starting to.
I actually think that's true. And he's being more willing in blocking. And with coaches like Dan Campbell, that's a big thing. I think he's being more willing to block. So I think we might see a JMO sort of resurrection year.
JMO resurrection here. We got the JMO rehabilitation.
Yes. Okay, so since it seems like we're at the closing end here, how's that week 14 matchup looking like between the two of us? Because
Like it's gonna be make or break for both of us.
it's looking like it.
You're
It's
gonna lose.
looking like it.
You're
I've
so gonna
run
lose.
some scenarios in which I can make it in
You,
with 7
you and your
wins.
damn scenarios. You got a problem.
Yeah, I'm like Doctor Strange and the Avengers. The end game, or the one prior
You're
to that.
trying to figure out the 1 in 1 million scenario you
Yeah,
think it.
I've ran through a million scenarios, and I found only one in which I make it in with 7 wins. And it requires a lot of luck of guys just losing games that they shouldn't. But I've lost games that I shouldn't, so take that.
It's not. So you're saying there's a chance.
Yes, like the current scenario that I have on right now, which I think it's looking likely. It's and you're gonna laugh, but it's me winning the division.
You winning the division? How? How?
It implies that I go for a no, and it implies that Luke loses 3 of the 4, basically. And I think it's doable. The
You
only
gotta
one
see
I'm not sure it's versus Zig.
who the hell. Who the hell does Luke face? All right, let's see.
His issue is that he has quite a few
Trojans.
a few bye weeks.
Me.
Yes, and he has a lot of buys versus you, I think, or quite a few buys. Or that one is close, and I'm
You.
giving it to you. Yeah, me as like half of the
Zig.
team on buy, and yeah, Zig is the one who was close. 'Cause
Okay, so he does have 4 very tough matchups to end the season.
yes,
Does have,
and I
that is your
have
saving grace.
yeah, and I need to beat the guy. If I have any chance, I need to beat this guy this week because it's not only that there's scenarios in which I can be 7-7 and make it in. I don't think there's a scenario in which I'm 7-7 and make it in if I don't win this week. So I think this week is do or die for me because he is a team hovering around 500.
He's a team hovering around 5. Oh man.
Remember, folks, this is a team who's third in most points scored.
Congratulations, you've lost so much. You've lost so
I'm
much.
third in points against.
No.
Um,
You really like getting third place. That's okay. You know?
I don't care which place I'm on, by the way. The one saving grace that I have, it's if I tie anyone, I probably make it in because I
Win.
have more points. Yeah, because I have
Yeah.
more points than anyone in that scenario.
You're not wrong.
Yeah. Um, I am checking though, and like, there's a few teams that could do better than me. It's kind of surprising how unlucky I've been. Um, versus whose schedule? Yeah, I think if I'm not mistaken, if I'm reading this right, yeah, I'm reading this right. I think there is not a single team. No, wait, I have this wrong. There's no way. This is like this. Let me send you. Let me send you a screenshot so you can tell me how to properly read this.
Okay. In the Discord?
Okay. Yeah, on the Discord.
Okay. Let's
Like,
see.
how do you read that? It's sending. Okay, it has sent. How do you read that? Is like top, should it be like me versus everyone's schedule at the top? Or is it like me versus everyone's schedule when going down? And how do I see how like each people would be against my schedule? Not sure if you're following here.
Oh, okay. I see it. I see it. I see it. I see it.
Yeah.
The
Because
top line.
it's me versus everyone. It's like everyone versus my schedule, right?
Yes. Correct.
Okay.
And then the left line would be you with their schedule. You'd be 9-1 with that.
Yeah. So
8-2 with my schedule.
so yeah. There is one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. Half of the league would be better with my schedule, which is just great. It just shows what having a good team makes. Like it's Austin would have 3 wins with my schedule. That's
Yep.
just it's like it's not even a very tough schedule. It is just like I face people when my team underperforms, and when my team performs well, like it happened this week, the other team just goes nuts. So I can never have good things.
Oh my god. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
that is crazy. Like the last, I think I've won one game in the last since week 5. I think I won one game. And since week 5, for example, week 6, let me see which week I lost, but I think I lost. I think I won in week 5, isn't it? No, I lost. I won in week 6. Okay, so week 5, I would have lost versus 12 teams. Week 7, I would have lost versus 9 teams. Week 8, I would have lost versus 5 teams. I, of course, faced one of those 5 teams. Week 9, I would have lost against 6 teams, which I, of course, faced one of those 6 teams. And I would have lost versus 2 teams in week 10. And I faced one of those 2 teams. It is terrible, dude.
Tough times out here.
Of times, for sure. That said, I think the this thing gives me a 50% chance of making it.
A literal coin flip.
Yes. A 47.25. Worse than a coin flip.
You feeling good or bad about this?
I mean, a couple of weeks ago, I had like 90% chance of making it in. So And usually, when projections are in my favor, I tend to lose. So I'm quite happy with this. Now it might be in the reverse.
No, maybe.
And you currently have a 0% chance of making it in.
It's okay. I'm just here to spoil people's seasons, basically.
I need you to win this week, buddy.
I think there's a very good chance I win this week.
Don't let me down. I'm counting on you.
Is, what does he basically lock in the playoffs if?
No one really locks it right now, outside of like a few teams that are sitting at like 8-2, for example, 9-1. I think those teams might lock it in.
Uh-huh.
The teams around 500 are slightly above that, like Ollie, for example, to 6-4. I don't think he would lock anything up because it's the divisional matchups, and the
Right.
division it's still a coin flip. The division, to be honest, like the last place can still win the division. So, like it's just it puts me at a better place versus the competition. Basically,
Okay.
that's the competition. The closer I am to that, the better. But yeah, I think that's the show.
I think that's the show. Indeed. Do you
This
have any advice for anyone who is on the fence on whether they should buy or whether they should sell at this stage of the season?
I mean, if you have a chance, I always say go for it because I've been playing this game way too long to know that the teams that sometimes look like they have no chance versus teams that look like they should win, most of the times they just can get into the playoffs, get hot, and make a season out of it.
This
And
guy.
I've been on the team who has like a 90% chance of win side plenty of times, and I've lost most of them. I mean, it's a coin flip. Whenever you get to the playoffs, I mean, you just need to get there. Then it's fantasy. It's mostly coin flip, and it's mostly luck. Like you can plan for the best team wherever, but nothing prevents you from your guy just putting a stinger, fumbling a ball early, and just being benched or just getting hurt first place in the game. I mean, nothing really stops the player from having that happen to him. So it's kind of like I always go for it, to be honest. Like if you have a chance to still make it to the playoffs, just go for it. Like a realistic one, of course. Just go for it, dude. It's like you're gaining nothing on just being a middling team. Go for it and try to win. Worst case scenario, you can't, and you like. I'm not saying if you are like I don't know if you're projected to be a top four pick, don't go ahead and trade your first for players. It's not super realistic, of course. But I mean, if you can make small moves, acquire just vets for cheap, and you're basically on the fence, if you're around 500 right now, or you're like me and you're 4-6, just go for it.
Just go for it.
Yeah.
That's Alex's advice. If you're in the hunt, just go for it. You
I
never know
mean,
what can happen in fantasy.
few leagues that I'm in right now, for example, our redraft league, I mean, I had a terrible start. I think I was right around, yeah, I lost my first, what, 5 games? I think I
Uh-huh.
was 1-4 going into week 6 or something like that. And now I'm 4-6. I mean, turnarounds happen. Players get better. Players get hot. Players get healthy. It happens, and you sort of just need to go for it when you have a chance. Now, if the team is in complete shambles, don't go ahead and make what Angelo did and just turn a team from nothing into something. That it can be fun, but I mean, you're not being honest with yourself. I guess it's my point. Unless you're just doing it for the fun of it. Like if you have a realistic chance to at least make the playoffs, go for it. If it's a puncher's chance, just roll another season, I guess.
Roll another season. I mean, I agree with that. I think that there's times to buy and times to sell. I think over the years you get more accustomed to what those times are. Like if there's a class you believe that is overvalued, go for it. Then go for trading those picks if you believe the players currently in the NFL are going to be better than those selections. But
And at least knock on doors, you know? That's something
exactly.
that I always think that it's something that I did good, at least to start, and that's how I built my team. I was on everyone's DMs to start. Like it takes a while and it's draining and it can be demoralizing when you have people that don't answer you. But I mean, it just gives you an edge because who wants to do the dirty work like that? Like constantly sending message to your teammates, trying to find out what X player is worth. And most of the times I don't even make a trade for said player, but I want to know what the value of the player is. So at least knock on those doors, and sometimes it can surprise you.
Yeah, that's true. That's pretty much the episode then, guys. If you've gotten this far, thank you so much. And Alex, you got the outro, baby.
If you're listening on podcasts, Spotify, just subscribe, leave us a 5-star review. That's the only one we accept. You won't catch me this time, Angelo. Um, and if you're listening on YouTube, just subscribe as well. Leave us a like, leave us a comment, turn notifications on, and we appreciate all the sort of like engagement that you guys leave us. We always like to read those comments when they're available. And I mean, have a good week. I mean, playoffs are about to begin or shortly. I mean, it's the deciding weeks to make your fantasy playoffs. So give it a go and have a good week right now, guys. See you guys next week.
I'll see you guys. Oop, I pressed the wrong button. Woohoo! I
Random
pressed the wrong
outro.
button again. Let's go.